Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Colleen Suchecki here with Believe, Grow, Shine, and I am a speaker and intuitive healer, and I help people heal from past trauma so that they can live their life authentically, discover their gifts, and live their purpose. And today we have, I think, what is a really, really important topic, which is about transcending self-blame, criticism, and punishment. So if you are hopping on or you're watching a replay, definitely make sure you say hello. I'd love to say hi to you. And if you feel inspired to share this video with other people, then I would love to have you share it. I would be very, very grateful because I know I talk to a lot of women and I know how prevalent this whole topic is for a lot of people. And I know it's really holding a lot of women back. And sometimes it's really sneaky and you can't see it. You know, you can't see how you're blaming yourself. You can't see how you're punishing yourself. So it can make it even more tricky to realize what's really happening and to start making new choices. So I would love for this to reach as many people as possible. So let me go ahead and share this here so that we can get started. So, all right, let's talk about, here we go. All right, let's talk about how this shows up. And what I really want to do is I don't want to just have an intellectual conversation about this because it's one thing to have an awareness about this, which is really important to be aware of when you're pushing yourself, like when you're blaming yourself and you're punishing yourself, but it's a whole nother thing to actually embody this and to start making new choices. Hi, Libby, what's going on? So what I want to do is I really want to, first of all, just have this conversation and bring awareness to this, but just know that we can't intellectually get ourselves out of this blaming and the self-punishment. So it can go much deeper than that. So the first things that I want to talk about is how it shows up in your life. So if you've ever thought, like when something doesn't go right, whether that's in your business, at your job, in a relationship, in a project, if you've ever said, what's wrong with me? Like there's this, we always ask ourselves these questions deep down. And if you've ever said like, my God, like what's wrong with me? How could I be so stupid? How could I be so careless? This is self-blame. This is self-criticism. If you've ever had that voice in your head, we all can have a critical voice. But if you have a voice that's consistently showing up and consistently has power in your thoughts and in your mind around pointing out all of your flaws, all the mistakes you've made, like this can be almost like you have this inner battle going constantly because you have this voice, and maybe that voice came from, maybe you had a parent that was really critical, or you had someone that you really respected and loved and they were always hard on you. And so it almost like they formed in your mind this voice where you just feel like you can never do anything right. If you've ever felt that way, like you could never do anything right, let me know. Hi, Wendy. And if you have ever passed up opportunities because deep down you weren't sure that you deserved the opportunity. And again, this can go really deep. This is where it's really important to be honest with yourself. Okay. So if you've ever just said, I'm just going to pass up on that opportunity. Maybe it's in your business. Maybe it's to travel. Maybe it's just something that is really speaking to you on a deep level. And you say no to it. And when you're honest with yourself, you said no from a place of, I really don't deserve that. What did I do to actually, that I should give myself that reward? I haven't proved myself. That is a sign that you're in the self-blame, self-criticism, punishment trap. If you constantly focus on everyone else's needs, if you're constantly putting everyone else first, Wendy said yes, yes, and more yeses. I know, Wendy. I know. We're gonna get deeper here. Okay, so hang in there. So if you're constantly putting everyone else first, and you are kind of on the bottom of the list, this can also be a sign that you are secretly trying to like prove yourself because you feel like you have done something wrong or that you always do something wrong. So you want to just focus on other people if that makes any sense. So it's this like inner anxiety around, I don't want to focus on what I want to do. I don't want to do the things that really my desires, because what if I make a mistake? What if I screw it up? So it also shows up in if you feel like it's always your fault. Okay, so this is going like this, the pendulum swings the other way and taking over responsibility for things. So whenever anything happens, you have this inner dialogue that's like, oh, it's my fault. There, I did, I screwed up again. I can't, you start not being able to trust yourself, and you start getting into a place where you actually feel frozen, where you don't even know what the right choices are to make anymore because you've felt like you've screwed up. You have this voice talking to you constantly, pointing out your flaws and criticizing you, and you think something's wrong with you. So this is it can be a really, really challenging place to be, because you can start feeling depressed. You can start having anxiety. Again, you're a fear of failure. You're a fear of success. And you're stuck on this hamster wheel of staying in the same place over and over again. Does anyone else relate to that? If anyone else relates to that, let me know, or you can let me know how this shows up for you. Like if you feel like it's always your fault, you're blaming yourself, you're criticizing yourself, how does that show up for you in your life? What kind of impact does that have on you? I know for me, it's led to being frozen, and for years, when I walked away from chiropractic and started doing this intuitive healing work, and I still had this story going that it's all my fault, that I'm wrong, I'm bad, and I deserve to be punished. That kept me frozen for a long time, because I was so freaking scared of making a mistake. I was so scared of doing something wrong, saying something wrong, because I thought I was going to get in big trouble. So that brings me to what's really at the root of all of this, is a past experience or experiences where you gave the meaning that it was your fault. You were to blame. You deserve to be punished. And for me specifically, that showed up with my dad dying. When my dad died when I was 3, when I would go back and do the inner work around this, I honestly thought it was my fault. I thought I must have done something wrong to deserve this. I must be bad and deserve to be punished. And that's the same thing with the sexual abuse. Those stories, the meaning that I gave those experiences was that I was bad. So that is kind of like at the root cause of all of this. Is if anyone's resonating with this, if anyone's ever felt like you've had that story playing, that you're bad, it's all your fault, you must have done something wrong to deserve this, let me know. Okay, I'm sure I can't be the only one, I'm sure. So it's really about, like, when we're playing those stories, when we haven't done all of the healing that's necessary for us to move forward, when we're playing those stories that we're bad, we're wrong, we deserve to be punished, we don't deserve good things, we deny our desires, okay? We deny our pleasure. And that is really, really, it has such a negative impact. And it's like this coming from this place where you feel like I'm so bad and I do not deserve to feel good, that I am not going to follow any of my desires. Yes, Wendy, thank you for being brave. And it's coming from this place of like, I don't deserve to feel good. And again, this is a deep place. Like usually it's not a conscious thought where you're thinking this. I mean, it can be, but this is coming from like a deep, deep place back from whenever the experience happened from when you were a child, that you just deserve to feel like shit because you're not good, you're bad. And this is a total roadblock to you being your authentic self. Because if you are denying pleasure, if you are denying your desires, there's no way, your desires and the little breadcrumbs of things that bring you pleasure are actually the things that help you to awaken, help you to blossom into who you really are. And when we're denying those things, we feel lost, we feel confused, we are so stuck in focusing on everyone else because it feels so uncomfortable because we don't know what the fuck to do. So like some of the things this is really, I've had a huge shift in this area, especially within the last few weeks, even just gone to a whole new level of allowing pleasure into my life, allowing myself to listen to my desires. And I want you to think about right now, what would you start doing? And I'd love to hear for anyone who feels inspired to share, what would you start doing if you were to allow pleasure in your life? What would you start doing if you were to allow your true desires to come forward? How would you be showing up? What would you be doing differently in your life? And I'll give you a quick story. Last Friday, my son had this he had this project to do, and he had to make this meal that was associated with the country that he was studying. And so I was making these plantains, and then we had a big buffet at his school. And Friday morning, I was just like, oh God, I don't want to make these plantains. Like there's all these other things I'd rather be doing, but I had committed to doing it. So I'm like, I have to do this. So I thought, okay, how can I do this and do it in a way that brings me pleasure, that brings me joy? So what I started doing was I started turning on, I turned on Madonna. I turned on Notorious B.I.G. and I think there was an Edwin McCain song in there, and I just started cranking the music and dancing around the kitchen like a crazy woman. And I had so much fun. And I actually got to this point where I just started crying because it was this feeling came over me of just feeling like I had denied myself pleasure for so long that I was actually starting to say yes to myself more often, and it felt so good that I just had to release. So it was really powerful. So I'd love to hear from you. If you were to allow more pleasure in your life, if you were to allow your desires to follow your desires, what would change in your life? What would be different? And the way that I was able to come to this place, to be able to allow pleasure and allow joy, was to do the inner healing work, was to go back to my inner child and do the work necessary with her so that this story that I'm bad, the story that I'm deserved to be punished, can be released because it's just not true. And I've stopped giving it power and I've stopped buying into it. So this is one of the reasons why I've created the group program, Awakening to Your Authentic Self. And the doors close on Wednesday. So 2 more days. There are 4 spots left. And this is for you if you feel like you've been in this hamster wheel of blaming yourself, of punishing yourself, of criticizing yourself, and you can't seem to get out of it, and you want to be with other like-minded women that are committed to showing up as their authentic self. And one of the other reasons why I think this group is really going to be incredibly powerful is because so often we have people in our life, in our everyday life, our friends, our family, that through no fault of their own, they're just not interested in doing this type of work on themselves. And that's okay. That's not a judgment or a criticism. It's just, it is what it is. So when you're looking to change things and when you're looking to really show up as yourself, if you're doing it all by yourself, it can be really easy to quit. It can be really easy to go back into that blaming yourself, back into that punishment and criticism, because you feel like you're on an island by yourself and no one's there to help you. And also, you may not have the tools to be able to do the healing work for yourself internally. So I'm just sharing this because I know that there are more women that really are a good fit for this program, that really is going to be really powerful. It's a 3-month program. It starts with an Akashic record reading, which is a one-on-one reading where I share your divine soul blueprint. I share who you are, what your gifts are, and then I share what is blocking you. What are the areas, what are the patterns of choice that are blocking you, that are keeping you on this hamster wheel, so that you can start making new choices immediately. There's also group calls and there's a private Facebook group that's already started. So you can have support anytime you need it. And the unique part about this program is that I'm tailoring it to you. So anything that I see, from the Akashic Record readings and from the private readings, I'm going to know what everyone else needs, what everyone needs. And I'm going to be creating other Facebook Lives just specifically for this group, inner child healing work, meditations, whatever it is that I'm seeing is going to really be serving everyone to get the most transformation, to be able to have everyone show up authentically in their lives, no matter who they're with, okay? No matter what the situation is, the sense of freedom, the sense of, wow, I am so grounded and secure in who I am. It's okay if someone, doesn't like me, and it's okay if I don't feel accepted, because I know who I am and I'm committed to honoring myself and showing up in that way. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, the group program, please say I'm interested or private message me. Again, the doors close on Wednesday. 2 days, 2 more days for the doors. The doors open for 2 more days, and then that's it. And I just also want to say that it's for what you're going to receive, the value is crazy, crazy, crazy good. And I will definitely not offer it in the future at this investment price again. So if this is speaking to your heart, if this is speaking to your soul, and you would like to be one of the women in the group to have a profound transformation and be in a group of like-minded women who are all committed to showing up as their true self, then definitely either private message me or say that you're interested. Because, the blame, the criticism, the punishment, I don't think this is what we're meant for. We're not meant here to be so hard on ourselves. But when it's wired in our body from these past experiences, it's almost like, it feels like you can see it all happening and you have no clue how to get out of it. Well, I just want to say, if you have any questions, I would like to hear any feedback from you about how this is impacting you. And if you are interested, I would love to hear from you. So I just want to thank everyone so much, for those of you who are here live and those of you watching the replay. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you soon.